Most importantly, I will be talking about J. Edgar Hoover versus Melvin Purvis. What's up, everybody? It's your girl B. Octavia, and I am back with another video. Welcome to my channel. Before we get into this video, let me just say that if you haven't checked out Be The Brand, make sure that you do. It is unisex clothing for women, men, and children. So today's video will be Mafia Ties episode 2 part 2. And in today's part 2, this video will be about John Dillinger, and I am picking up where I left off. I already told y'all why he is included in my eyes in Mafia Ties, so we just gonna leave that where it is. And the last thing that I talked about in part 1 was his death. Now, his death occurred on July 22nd, 1934. I will be talking about the FBI investigation and manhunt. I will talk about how much it costs. And most importantly, I will be talking about Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover versus Melvin Purvis. So, John Dillinger was arrested in 1934 after having a shootout with police. He was charged with murder, but the charge was dismissed. He still escaped jail, though. I guess he didn't await, the decision or whatever the case was. Now, allegedly, after he escaped from jail, he allegedly had a few plastic surgeries on his face to reconstruct it a little bit. I don't know what good that did because the whole world still knew him, right? According to reports, the FBI spent around $2 million on this manhunt. They dedicated specific units to catching Dillinger. His eventual capture helped solidify the crime unit that still operates to this day. His capture reward jumped to $25,000 around the time of his death. His girlfriend, a Romanian whorehouse owner, was offered the reward money if she gave up his location. And it was also protection from her being deported after he was captured / shot down. She was deported anyway. The family of Dillinger had his casket put in concrete because they had concerns that grave robbers would try to disturb John Dillinger as he rested in peace. Now, let's talk about the men that shot him. Charles Bastille Winstead, Clarence Hunt, and Herman Ed Hollis were made famous in the 1930s to 1940s for shooting John Dillinger dead. Melvin Purvis was the man that was in charge of hunting John Dillinger. He led the investigation. During the manhunt, the murder of Pretty Boy Floyd called Purvis and his assisting agents into question for their tactics and how they moved during this manhunt. After getting victories in taking down John Dillinger and most of John Dillinger's associates, Melvin Purvis began to smell a conspiracy against himself. J. Edgar Hoover appointed Melvin Purvis as the lead investigator on the John Dillinger manhunt. J. Edgar Hoover began to get jealous and envious of Melvin Purvis because of the attention that he was getting from this case. After the John Dillinger case was closed and John Dillinger's death was ruled justified, J. Edgar Hoover started to assign Melvin Purvis to petty cases and petty criminals that were open and closed scenarios. J. Edgar Hoover did that so that J. Edgar Hoover himself can put it in the media's mind that Melvin Purvis was an ineffective leader. Melvin Purvis resigned from the FBI in 1935, only a year after his very successful case that put him on a very nationwide, worldwide map. Hoover still went through hoops so that Melvin Purvis wouldn't get hired. From getting a few awards and judgeships in the 1950s. If you remember, J. Edgar Hoover was exposed for being a cross-dresser. He was exposed for having a male lover and living with a male, in some type of common law situation. So my thing is, him having that secret life, it shows in his actions, of him being very petty towards Melvin Purvis, of him being very jealous and envious of Melvin Purvis and feeling inferior to Melvin Purvis. See, all these years, and that's why it's good to do your own research. All of these years, I thought that Melvin Purvis killed himself shortly after the John Dillinger case was closed. And I thought that because of how it took a toll on him, right? I thought that it took a certain toll on him to where it broke him down. And it made him feel like it was such a thrill that there was nothing else to do. Melvin Purvis killed himself in the 1960s after battling a illness of some kind. I thought that he committed suicide because of the grueling investigation and manhunt and what he had to go through, and not being able to shoot John Dillinger and catch John Dillinger and really talk to John Dillinger after apprehending him and things like that. I thought that that's what happened, right? Well, we're seeing that that's not the truth. I'm sure that it took a toll on him, and it took a certain toll on him because he knew that he deserved more after that. He deserved bigger cases. He deserved a more high-profile status. And he wasn't given that because of his boss's envy and jealousy. I don't think that Melvin Purvis was an ineffective leader. I think that he did everything that it took to, in his words, capture people. And I think that, why don't FBI agents be considered killers, when they go out and they handle things in the wrong way and they teach other FBI agents to do the same things? Those FBI agents that killed John Dillinger weren't necessarily in the right because he wasn't giving you the 100% knowledge or 100% sign that he was a threat to you. He was running away from you. Yes, he did have a gun, but to capture is not to kill. Now, we could have gotten a lot of information out of John Dillinger, and there could have been more information on him, on his background, on his perspective on certain things that we didn't get, all because of the FBI's lack of actually wanting to capture somebody. It don't take much for you to get charged up and run after him and tackle him down. It don't take much to do that. So it's like, for you to just stand there and watch him run away and shoot him down when we could have had a lot more knowledge on John Dillinger and how he really created this gang and how he got them to really move on his word and trust his word and things like that. He was not involved in the mafia, but he was a boss. And we do have to take into account that it takes a lot of strength, it takes a lot of precision, it takes a lot of focus and determination to do exactly what he did. It takes no fear. You literally have to have no fear. to commit the crimes that he's committed, to actually do it over and over and over again. A lot of people was rooting for him because John Dillinger wasn't out killing civilians. I think that he did have a vendetta against police because he did get caught a lot, or he got caught very quickly, especially in the first beginning of his crime spree. All in all, I do respect his father for doing everything that he could for his son to see that he wanted better for him. I think that's what you got to realize when it's parent and child. You got to realize, although you want the best for them, after a certain age, it's their decision to either listen to what you've always said or go with what they want to do and really accept their decisions and wherever they end up. That's the scary part. And it's on you if you decide to still support them through that and still be there or not. And I don't think that you should feel guilty either way, because if you feel like you have to protect yourself and you have to protect your integrity and what you know that you've built, don't feel guilty about that. Don't for once feel guilty about that. Because the things that you do as a criminal can and sometimes will fall on your family the hardest. You might be knowing that you're disappointing your parents or you disappointing your family, but it's more than that. You putting them on the line as much as you're on the line. And that's not never fair. Especially if you know that your peoples them raised you better than that. Especially if you know that they done tried and they done been tired and they still tired. So, you know, when it's like this, I want to say that I respect his father for trying. And I want to hear what y'all think about the Hoover versus Purvis. I want to hear what y'all think about John Dillinger as a whole. And I will see y'all in my next video. Until then, I will see y'all in my next video.